We
are
the Michigan Cannabis
Freedom Coalition.
MCFC's mission is to provide a fresh start to those that have been harmed by the criminalization of cannabis, using tools like resentencing, clemency, and expungement to reduce or eliminate the barriers of justice to impacted individuals, as well as provide public education and awareness.
At one time, I didn't think I was going to ever get out. It's about guys that shouldn't be in there, like marijuana, still in there for marijuana, they shouldn't be in there. Those guys are human beings, and the way they treat them is not good. Not just about me, it's about thousands of guys that need help, and they need to quit talking and start doing something about it.
In 2008, Michigan voters approved a ballot initiative to legalize cannabis for medical use. A decade later, adult use of marijuana was overwhelmingly approved by voters. Today, Michigan has generated nearly $450 million in legal cannabis sales and nearly $73 million in tax revenue to the state.
And yet while cannabis business is booming, thousands still languish in state prison or continue to suffer the collateral consequence of committing a marijuana-related offense.
Mass incarceration and the conditions of confinement have left our correctional facilities highly susceptible to COVID-19 outbreaks. Today, there have been over 25,000 positive cases within Michigan prisons. No one deserves to have a cannabis offense become a death sentence.
Michigan Cannabis Freedom Coalition's vision is to restore justice to those who have been harmed by the criminalization of cannabis, while working to end the epidemic of mass incarceration through comprehensive criminal justice reform.
My name is Jason Szymanski, and I've had my parole revoked for the medical use of marijuana. In 2014, I was paroled and obtained my medical marijuana card. I requested that the conditions of my parole be modified to use my medicine, and the Michigan Department of Corrections obstinately refused and threatened to return me to prison. The MDOC violated my parole and penalized me several times thereafter for taking my medicine. A precarious situation evolved. 1, stop taking my medication. 2, continue using my medication and risk being returned to prison. I opted to continue to use my medication between 2014 and 18. I was then violated several times by the parole board, and in 2018 was arrested and ultimately returned to prison. Since then, the MDOC's parole board has vehemently imposed their position, stating that even the medical use of marijuana constitutes a substance abuse issue. They have now held me in prison for 3 years, expressing that I deny having a substance abuse issue for my medical use of marijuana. In concluding, I am gratefully indebted to many, many compassionate cannabis community members who have a heart to hear and to speak up. And the plea of the listener is this: speak up loudly the truth of this conundrum, which the MDOC has created regarding the lawful medical use of marijuana.
We don't see my husband since March last year. So this is very, very hard for us right now. He's sick and we don't be able to see him since then. That's one of the most harshest things that we have to go through right now with the COVID and with my son with leukemia.
I miss my dad a lot and I want him to come home. I want my dad to come home because I miss him and I want to sleep with him and I want him to teach me stuff.
He's the glue of the family, so we need him to come home.
I have Maurice Shumate, who is incarcerated for marijuana, which is now legal. He is nonviolent. I don't even think he's ever received a ticket since he's been incarcerated, because it's just not him. He's a mentor to kids, a father, a man who takes care of his responsibilities. Nicest person in the world. I've never even seen him fight. I've been knowing him over 20 years. Sitting in prison due to marijuana. Marijuana is legal. So if anyone is in prison for marijuana, I feel like they should be released. Maybe Governor Whitmer, maybe you can make some sense of this. How are people still incarcerated for marijuana when it's legal now? Can you answer that for me? Because I'm confused.
These are just a few of the many who continue to sit behind bars in Michigan prisons due to their involvement with cannabis. We must learn their stories. We must demand their release and the release of all those imprisoned due to cannabis. The Michigan Cannabis Freedom Coalition, through its alliance with the National Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, has attorneys ready to file clemency petitions. We have resources to help with prisoner reentry, and we have funds to help families and prisoners while we fight for their release.
But none of this matters unless we can get Governor Gretchen Whitmer to fulfill her campaign promise to free all cannabis prisoners. Only Governor Whitmer can sign these petitions. It is up to us to let her know that the cannabis community will accept nothing less. So join our efforts. Go to our website, MIFreedomCoalition.com, and follow us on social media. Sign up to volunteer and share these stories. But most importantly, sign our petition and urge Governor Whitmer to let her know that we are not willing to compromise on the freedom of cannabis prisoners. Governor Whitmer, it is time to set up this program now. Justice delayed is justice denied, and justice has been denied for far too long under this administration. You made a promise, and it is up to you to fulfill that promise.